With tanks from other companies, we are being sent ahead since the Russian has now started his winter offensive in this part of the Terek after all. Under Captain Falken's command, it's going in the direction of the northerly wing of our division. There we are to support and reinforce. Not enough fuel has arrived to completely supply all vehicles. Therefore, we plan a marching break with resupply along the route. We drive off, and I'm glad to sit inside the tank again. Unfortunately, without Hermann, but the driver and loader have been with the platoon for longer as well, so I'm not worried. The gunner is sitting quietly in his seat and appears to be thinking a lot. Surely the mission in which he lost his tank is still lingering in his head, but in this case one simply has to carry on. But how I did do after our tank had been shot up and I barely escaped, that also took a while, and then the best remedy is always back against the enemy. Then one has no time to ponder. I believe he'll be over it soon. It's important to concentrate on one's task and not to hesitate. Schmidt is happy to finally get out of the regimental office and being able to ride along to the front. Eagerly, he is busy with the radio unit inside the tank. He's probably excited too. I might already sound like an old hand who's evaluating the young guys. But at what point is one considered an old hand? After one mission? After 10 or after 100? It's important what one makes of it. On it goes, we are rolling forward. We are a mixed bunch, but I believe we possess a certain degree of combat strength. Everyone simply knows what he needs to do, and if there isn't a minefield laying straight in front of us, with enough attack momentum, we should be able to deal the enemy a good blow. We keep rolling further, but are forced to stop soon as we hardly have any more fuel. We are assured, however, that the fuel trucks are already en route and will join us soon. Thus we are sitting idle for 3 hours and waiting. At least the sun is in the sky and the wind doesn't blow. We set up security to the east and wait. Finally, the trucks arrive and we are able to refuel the tanks. After we get rolling again, a large Russian unit is reported approaching in 3 marching columns. An entire infantry brigade is moving towards us. There, the Russians didn't pay attention. A brief situational meeting, and 20 minutes later we are attacking the large unit's flank at full speed. Ivan is completely caught off guard and is unable to move his accompanying artillery pieces into firing position fast enough. Even the supporting T-34 tanks are unable to completely turn against us due to the infantry running about wildly. We are scattering the groups and causing enormous damage. No losses of our own vehicles, but a lot of material is captured. 10 anti-tank guns, several tanks as well as large 120mm artillery pieces, and more than 800 prisoners. It could keep going like that. If we hadn't stopped them here, they would have marched right through to our command post. We have to keep moving since the Russian is very active. The dominating heights on the northern wing are already in Russian hands, and we can only hope that the Russian is not setting up a strong anti-tank defense there before we have come to the support of the reconnaissance companies there. And indeed, a large portion of the reconnaissance companies has already been encircled and no longer has a connection to the unit's command post. So breaking up another encirclement, we form 2 spearheads and approach the ring of encirclement from 2 sides. Simultaneously, the wheeled units of the reconnaissance are to move toward us. Due to the previous engagements and the units which had to be left behind to guard the prisoners, we now only possess 3/4 of our combat strength. Already we're receiving poorly aimed artillery shelling on our attacking spearhead, and we fan out further. The artillery fire is strong but not well placed. We get through and then already encounter the first security detachments. In a courageous attack, the improvised positions are engaged. Here the Russian has amassed anti-tank rifles, but frontally and poorly aimed, they do not penetrate. Simply driving briskly ahead, then they get scared at one point and will try to escape. It doesn't take long until we've opened up the ring, and on it goes. Due to the threat to the flank, we, together with 2 tanks and the group of infantry, remain behind at the point of the opening. We are standing 500 meters apart and are each keeping an eye on the north-south direction, so the Russian won't close the back here. Anxiously, we're sitting inside the tank. Despite the cold, we are all sweating. I give Schmidt a nudge. He climbs up to me. I ask him how he's liking it being along here right up front. He states he was in a good spirit. This was something else for a change rather than always just shuffling papers. Well, a lot hasn't really happened yet. I sent 2 men outside to stretch their legs and to take a break to pee. We continue to observe the area and again hear battle noise from the easterly direction. Apparently the reconnaissance unit is fighting their way through to us. An hour has already passed, nothing here is stirring. Also pretty nice for a change. We take turns inside the tank, now the others are able to get outside. The infantry is securing us in a wide perimeter against close combat units who would really have to struggle to get close to us. I hustle over to the neighboring tank and have a talk with the commander. The master sergeant remarks that we, since we are sitting here pretty nice, would probably also be forming the rear guard. I wave it off and state we'd employ the Panzer force for that, but I really don't quite believe that. Over the radio, it is announced that the reconnaissance unit has been collected and the assault group was performing a fighting withdrawal. We get ready and keep waiting. There are planes in the sky, but apparently they're not interested in us. I can already recognize our lead vehicles, and it doesn't take long until they've reached us. The lead tank stops and we receive the order to remain here for another hour as the rear guard and then disengage from the enemy. Damn crap, I don't like the taste of that. But well, we stay here while the assault group and the reconnaissance are rolling past us. I'd rather have a long-barreled Panzer IV along here. We then would be able to fight the T-34s at range. After an endlessly long 60 minutes, the infantry get ready to move out. We still wait until the armored personnel carrier has been gone for 10 minutes, then follow behind. The turret turned to the rear, securing our back, is going back in the other's tracks. After 15 minutes, we stop and turn the tank around and again stay guard for 10 minutes. Then we spot Russian vehicles appearing. BA-10s and BT tanks are coming toward us. We open fire, and right away they've gotten themselves a bloody nose and turn away. We drive off again, and so it goes on and on. Again and again we stop, secure the rear, and drive on. We report our position and are to relocate further to the northwest, but in such a way that the opponent is keeping an eye on us. We are leading the Russian in front of the barrels of 2 88mm artillery guns till they can really clean house. We reach the firing range of the guns and can barely spot them in the terrain. We stop once again, sending a few greetings over to Ivan and then drive into a small depression. There we turn and carefully push backwards. A few T-34s see their opportunity and race after us. I just have my tank in position and cautiously peek out of the hatch when the ADAs open fire. In short succession, the shells are snapping out of the barrels. It seems shell launch and impact are one. Close to 1,300 meters away, two T-34s burst apart in a big fireball. The others haven't caught on to it yet and keep driving further. The 8.8 fires, and again a T-34 is done for. Now they are smelling the bacon and are turning away. But on the open plain, that's not a good idea. Again there's a boom, and yet another Russian tank sits there without a turret. Target shooting for the gunners. Schmidt has climbed out of the hatch and together with me is looking at this spectacle. A further 6 shots ring out, and we have 8 burning T-34 wrecks sitting in the field. Here the Russian won't attempt anything else. I walk over to the artillery guns and thank them for the support. With pride the crew shows me the kill rings painted on their barrel. Today another 5 will be added. The gunnery leader is wearing the German cross in gold. He probably knows what he's doing. We have to keep moving, so we leave the rest to the artillery guns and the infantry. Toward the early evening we are back and are able to get our tank combat ready again. Schmidt is happy that he was allowed to come along and he would like to go again. I just tell him that it wasn't my call, the platoon leader would have to decide.